Right, this is the homework help for solving equations using the subtraction and addition method. Let's just look at, I think I've got 3 of these picked from our homework. Number 13, we have a minus 45 equals 76. So again, the question we ask ourselves on all of these is, how is that negative 45, that minus 45, connected to the variable, in this case an a? Well, it's being subtracted, so I undo the subtraction with addition. So I'm going to add 45 to both sides. And I highly recommend that you write down what you're doing each time. So in this case, I'm going to have 45s cancel. If they didn't cancel, I didn't do something right. Bring down your a, bring down your equals, and then just do the arithmetic. And so that's going to be 121. Now you can always check these. And my rule of thumb when checking is if the checking is harder than the solving, I often don't check it. Particularly if my answer comes out fractional and I've got a really long equation with lots of fractions, particularly if I don't have a calculator, because I'm just as likely to make a mistake with the checking as I was in the solving. Now that goes for homework, I'll be honest. With test, if I have time, I go back and check. So I'll maybe mark that, and then once I finish the test, I go back and we'll check. So let's check this one here. I'm going to take that 121 and pop it right in for a. And so I'll just do it over here. So 121 minus 45, is that equal to 76? You can use a calculator if you need to, or just do it by hand, and it is equal to 76. So we know that we have done this one correctly. Okay, how about number 35? So in 35, we have 5 times the quantity y minus 6 minus 4y equals a negative 6. So we often need to distribute first. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute or clear my parentheses. And I'll get 5y minus 30. And then just bring down your minus 4y equals negative 6. When you're first learning how to solve these equations, I really recommend not combining steps. Now, when you get pretty comfortable with it, and you'll see me do it, you can combine steps. You can do 2 or 3 things at the same time. I'm not doing anything different on this one. Now, what about, let's go before we start moving things over, I almost always will combine like terms on the same side. In this case, we've got a couple like terms we can combine. I've got a 5y and a minus 4y. And so 5y minus 4y, it's just y. So I'll have y minus 30 equals negative 6. Now, if you needed to, you could have written those like terms side by side. Sometimes it makes it easier, as I mentioned in class. Completely up to you. Okay, now I've got y minus 30 equals negative 6. This is pretty similar in form to the one we did up here at number 13. And I'm going to solve it similarly. How is this minus 30 connected to the y? Well, I've already said it. It's being subtracted, so I'm going to do the opposite, which is add. So I'm going to add 30 to both sides. Whatever I do to one side, make sure you do to the other side. Those cancel. Bring down your y. Bring down your equals. 30 minus 6 is 24. We can check this. I'm not going to, but you can take this 24 and plug it in wherever you see a y and see if you get a true statement. Okay, let's look at this one. We have 10 less than m is negative 14. And so I picked this one because it's often missed. We don't necessarily write it down as we see it in English. So we would not write down 10 minus m. We're going to say m minus 10 equals negative 14. And if you think about this, hopefully makes sense. If I said, what's 10 less than 12? I think you'd say 2. How'd you get that? You said 12 minus 10. In the same way, when we say 10 less than m, it's m minus 10. So be careful on that. Now I'm going to solve it. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. These 10s cancel, and I'll get m equals negative 14 plus 10 is a negative 4. And hopefully this makes sense. So negative 4 minus 10 is negative 14. All right, with solving equations using the division and multiplication properties, very similar in how we approach it. Let's look at number 79. We have negative 5c equals 55. And the question we ask ourselves is, how is that negative 5 attached to the c? In this case, that's our variable we're trying to solve for. So It's attached through, understood, multiplication. So what's the opposite of multiplication? Good, divide. I'm going to divide both sides by a -5. Those cancel on this side, and I'll get C equals 55 over -5 is a -11. And again, when these are pretty easy like this, go ahead and check it. So take that -11 and plug it in for C. If I have -5 times -11, do I get a positive 55? I do. -5 times -11 is 55, so that checks out. Now what about number 91? So 91, we have -20 equals Q divided by -5. Here's our question. How is this -5 connected to the Q? It's being divided, so I do the opposite. To remove it, I'm going to multiply both sides by a -5. So they cancel here on the right, and I'll get -5 times a -20 is a positive 100 equals Q. And I probably mentioned this in class. I like the variable to be on the left, so I'm probably going to be rewriting this optional step, Q equals 100. And hopefully this makes sense. We can do 100 divided by -5 is in fact -20. Now, what about 99? I picked this one. It's pretty easy relative to the other ones, but it can be a little trivial. What number is right beside that V? It's a -1. If that helps pencil that in, I'm going to multiply or divide by a -1, which has the effect of just changing the sign of whatever that number is. V equals 72. Often this occurs as you're solving problems. You'll have a negative variable, and just make sure you change that to a positive by multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative. Okay. And the last one I think we're going to do is number 143. Now, 119 is one that you can actually probably save until we do 2, 3 when we combine. I believe you'll have to combine properties to do that one. Didn't mean to have that one slip in. That's probably why I put the star by it. But you can try it as maybe a little bonus or something for yourself. If you can do 119, you'll be good on all the ones that we do in here. Okay, so 133, the product of -19 and n. So the product, you want to think of what those words meant when we had sum, quotient, product. Okay, so remember these. So product means to multiply. So the product of -19 and n. So we can say 133 is the product of -19. And we're not going to put an X, we're just going to put -19 in. That means product. You could go ahead and write this as -19n equals 133. No need to do that though. Now it does say to solve this, so we'll go ahead and do that. Let's divide both sides by -19. And what do we get for n? So that cancels. I do not know my 19s table, so just use a calculator real quick. And I'm going to get n equals -7. Recall we have a positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. And we can check that out. This one's not too hard to check. -19 times -7 is 133. So it looks good. Hope that helps.